know it's cloudy today, but from the looks of it, we got a huge dump of smoke in the sky. I guess it's blocking all the views again like the previous days. And what's going on today? I guess this was kind of interesting where there was a drone pilot that was officially fined for, I guess, illegally flying his drone around things like a festival and an airport. This one says, drone pilot fined for flights near East Midlands Airport and Download Festival. From the sounds of it, he was charged for multiple violations. It says Daniel Cesar was filming Download at Donington Park, Leicester, which is next to the East Midlands Airport and within its flight restriction zone. He also flew his drone above the legal limit of 400 feet and was so far away he could not see it. The 36-year-old from Spondon, Derby admitted 7 offenses. So what were these 7 offenses? It says 2 charges of flying an unmanned aircraft in a flight restriction zone without permission, 2 charges of failing to comply with the maximum operation height, 2 charges of failing to keep an unmanned flight in sight, contravening a requirement to display a registration number. He also asked for 13 other drone-related offenses to be taken into consideration when he was sentenced to South Derbyshire Magistrates Court. So lots of little things there. His defense was essentially he wasn't aware of the restrictions and laws since it was a quote new hobby to him, and the response was ignorance of the law is no defense, which you've often heard. And he says, you were operating in the Weston-on-Trent and Charlotte area and you can't have been unaware of the proximity of East Midlands Airport. And ultimately it says he was fined £1,008. It was reduced from £1,512 because he pleaded guilty, and was also ordered to pay costs of £85 and a surcharge of £403. What was he flying? Apparently he was flying a Mavic 2 drone. And from the investigation, I suppose, they found out that he flew multiple times, I guess, in violations. So that's why he got charged multiple times. So the other interesting point was, how did they catch the person? Was he flying, for example, recklessly? Somebody reported him. Apparently, because of the event, they actually had people dedicated there to detect things like drones. I guess they called them here counter-drone officers. So they could have been using something, for example, like those DJI aeroscopes and all that. And I guess once they determined who it was, they basically confiscated the drone and all that. And you can imagine, I guess, when they got the drone, they were able to look at things like the logs. So how far away was he, I guess, from his takeoff area? According to this, it says the drone was a distance of 1,670 meters away. And the rule, for example, says he shouldn't have flown more than 500 meters away. And the drone was well beyond visual line of sight. And as well, it says he's also flown at a height of 500 meters, more than 4 times the legal height limit of 400 feet, meaning there was a greater risk of endangering aircraft. So ultimately, at the end of the day, he had to pay the fine, and as well, it says magistrates also ordered Cesar's phone and drone to be forfeited and destroyed. So what would you think in this case? Do you think it was justified? Do you think it's overboard? Keep in mind, it says here he was flying a DJI Mavic 2. I guess in terms of what they wrote in terms of how high he was flying and all that around the airport, that can't be a good idea. And when I thought of whether or not something is overboard per se, this was everywhere here in terms of the news, where apparently in the US they arrested Donald Trump, and then there was this mugshot and stuff going around online everywhere. Like, what's going on here, huh? I was reading this one. It says, Trump arrest full recap, mugshot surrender, what's next in Georgia election case. Former President Donald Trump was booked at Fulton County Jail Thursday night on site charges he conspired to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in Georgia. Trump was fingerprinted, and a booking photo, commonly known as a mugshot, was taken of the former president and later released to the public. Trump is facing charges in 4 separate criminal cases, but this is the first time he had a mugshot taken. And apparently, I guess, a lot of the people that associated with him had these mugshots and stuff as well. So from what I gather in just reading stuff quickly, the situation, like they said, it dealt with them accusing him of trying to overturn an election and all that, whereas the argument is he's basically saying he just doesn't think it was quote valid. They want an investigation and all that, which should fall along the lines of something like a free speech and all that. So there's the kind of, I guess, icky part. But at the same time here, a lot of people are saying this is just purely political, where they just want it, like just say this quote mugshot so they can spread it around. It's kind of funny to think about too, because it makes me think during these times, I'm pretty sure when people keep talking about these left and right stuff, like I said, I personally don't care. What does a person like me think when I read stuff like this? Honestly, just for perspective, all I hear is, for example, this guy's getting indicted, this and that. It just sounds like it's non-stop. Like, what's going on? Do people just really hate this guy, for example? Would they really want to go after him? Because I would think, for example, this mugshot, maybe on paper, people would say, okay, this is an example where this guy's a quote fraud and all that, but when you do it for this long, consistently in that case, where the guy still isn't prosecuted, to me anyways, from the outside, it feels like you're trying to find everything to kind of go after him with. And that probably wouldn't help, I guess, the people that are, quote, let's just say, attacking him or want to see him go down, because I could easily see this with the other side saying, well, here's an example, they're just targeting someone who they don't like. That's how I would view it anyways. I would think too, at the end of the day, if nothing actually ends up happening here and it was all, let's just say, for show to get like the mugshot and all that, can you imagine when the tables are turned now? It's gonna be people again just attacking each other, wanting blood and all that. And again, that's why I don't like these left and right stuff. Focus on the facts. I mean, I've had one conversation before where I asked a person, like, why do you keep doing that? Like, you keep dividing people, saying left and right and so forth. And the only answer the person gave me was, because some people are different. I'm like, what kind of answer is that? Focus on the facts. One thing interesting too, just about that topic of, quote, election fraud, not too long ago on places like YouTube, they would actually take videos down or ban people, I guess, for talking about it. And just recently they changed the policy where now you can talk about things like election fraud and all that. It makes you wonder why in relation to all these topics anyways. I think the saying is still true. Politics, they ruin everything, huh? They just get everyone to fight and all that. Alright, see you guys later.